Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 74 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network Tuesday through Friday. Join our Facebook community, our Facebook group, Life Transformation Radio Community, and never miss an episode by subscribing wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Our show can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, Himalaya app, and the Google Play Music app. Wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, please subscribe. And if you think the show is worthy, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how well we're doing. My guests on the show are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, basically amazing human beings that are impacting the world around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions for any guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my guest for today, Antoinette Tuff. Antoinette, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure to be here on with you today, Sean. Yes, I'm glad to be here.
I am pumped to have you on the show. I know we're going to get into some deep stuff that has happened to you, that you are currently speaking about, and the mission that you're on. So I cannot wait to dive into that story and just bring you to the world here on Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So the title of this episode is Faith Under Fire with speaker and survivor Antoinette Tuff. She is an amazing woman who has been in the media for over a decade. In light of all the mass shootings, she is a powerful speaker and survivor of a 2013 potential mass shooting in Atlanta, Georgia at Ronald E. McNair Discovery Learning Academy, where she asked the gunman with an AK-47 to hand her his assault rifle. No one was killed that day, not the faculty, the children, or the parents. Her story is also a movie, and Toni Braxton plays Antoinette's character. You can go to Antoinette, ANTOINETTE, Tuff, TUFF, AntoinetteTuff.com/Antoinette-movie. It's right there in the show notes. You can connect and look and see what her movie is all about. And then if you want to meet Antoinette, you can go to AntoinetteTuff.com/meet-Antoinette. Her LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram profiles are right there in the show notes. Connect her, click on those, and let her know that you heard her here, right here at Life Transformation Radio. Antoinette, the first question that I have to ask, and I believe is the most important question that you could ever ask yourself, is why? So why do you do what you do?
The reason why I do what I do, Sean, is because when you go back and look at how God changed your life, you never know what you're going to come up with. It's always a mystery. It's always the unknown, but the unknown take us to our destiny. And so my why is to be able to allow ordinary people to become extraordinary people by using my tough tactics.
Your tough tactics.
Yes.
What are those tough tactics?
Those tough tactics are compassion,
Uh-huh.
confidence, and control. Those are the
Oh,
things that I
okay.
used when I disarmed the gunman on August 20th, 2013.
That had to be absolutely terrifying.
Yes,
I
yes,
mean, I got an
yes.
active duty military career behind me, and even then, deployments and I mean, it's hard, it's tough, it can be scary. I remember some moments in the Middle East that I'm like, man, I really hope I make it out of this. Like, I really hope that I make it home. I've had those moments, and they can be absolutely terrifying. They can be scary, but it sounds like with your tough tactics, it's a mechanism or a system for you to make it through.
Well, what I do when I go on the stage and I speak, what I do is I allow people to be in the room with me so that they can see how they can be ordinary to become extraordinary. We're all extraordinary in some kind of way, but it's not
Hmm.
until someone pulls it out of you for you to be able to see exactly who you are. And so on August the 20th, God just pulled that out of me to allow me to see who I was.
That is incredible. So let's talk about that. The focus of the show is what is a transformational moment that changed your life and put you on the path to what you're doing today. And it sounds like that moment in Atlanta, Georgia is the transformational moment that lifted or twisted or put your life on its head. Sounds like that was the transformational moment.
Well, that moment was the moment that it set me free. My transformational moment started when my husband, after 33 years, had left me and I was suicidal, not thinking that life
Wow.
was worth living for. But what it did was put me in a downward spiral for what was in me to manifest. And so, 2 days before the gunman walked into the school and held me hostage, I tried to commit suicide. It wasn't my first time, but it was my last time. And so all of those
Wow.
downward spirals put me and prepared me for August the 20th, 2013, when that young man walked into the elementary school with an AK 47
Hmm.
and about 500 rounds of ammo. It was about 8 months after the Sandy Hook school shooting, when we had just seen
Oh,
all of these
jeez.
innocent children and faculty members killed. And so it was like innocent lives gone. And so in our mind, that was getting ready to be our story. And
Hmm.
when you look at all of that, you don't know how you're going to come out of it in the moment. But when you go back and see it, then I realized that it was that compassion that I had for that young man, not looking at who he was or what he said, but looking at him as another human being. It was that confidence that I had, in spite of me being afraid and fearful and all of that. It was that confidence of being able to say that we're all going to survive today, including you. But it was
Mm.
also not knowing in the moment that it was going on, the control that I had to allow me to be able to see that in spite of me being afraid, in spite of him walking to and fro in front of me with an AK 47, in spite of him shooting his AK 47 in the room with me several times and in the community, I still allowed him to be able to know that he was somebody, that he was in control, even though he wasn't in control, but it was me. See, it's all about how do
Right.
you make your person that feels to be a threat to you, or you feel to be like, okay, I'm not sure where this is going to go, but allowing them to think they're in control when in all reality you're the one that's in control.
That is incredible. Wow. Did you take it upon yourself to do that? You're like, okay, I'm gonna talk to this guy. Did you know him? Like, what were those moments? What were you thinking?
To be honest with you, people's like, well, what did you say to make him surrender? I don't know what I said. I was praying the whole time. Lord, do you see what I see? I need you to tell me what I need to do right now. Because
Right.
remember now, he's got an AK 47. I had never seen a gun before. I had never seen ammo before. Didn't even know what it was. Didn't even know what a magazine was. And so he's literally sitting in front of me. I'm emptying out his book bag, and I see all these ammo. I see all these magazines, and he's literally loading up in front of me. And so when you're in that situation, it becomes like, what do I do? You kind of get frozen in time. And then he goes out at one time to try to shoot the kids. But it was over 870 innocent kids in that building. He came at the busiest time of the day. So normally it would have been an office full of students.
Okay.
So that's the day that you say, I don't know what you believe in, but I'm going to need nobody to interrupt this line. God, do you see what I see?
Oh, my gosh. That is crazy. So did you know the person?
No, I did not know him. He had said to me that he had been to the school before, but he was 20 and I worked at an elementary school.
I gotcha.
And so we were in a minority school, and so he didn't have any siblings at that school, and so he had said that he had been there before, but I didn't know him personally. No.
So what was he doing there? What was it? I mean, was he mad at some teacher? Was he what was his intentions?
His intentions was he had actually posted on people to know that he was getting ready to do a mass shooting. But let me tell you how it's set up. This young man, let me show you how I got set up. This young man passed several schools to get to my school.
Yeah.
He parked his car right next to my car. And I'm not the actual secretary, so I wouldn't have been in the actual office to greet him. But I was relieving the secretary that day because my boss asked me if I could relieve the secretary. But what I wind up doing was getting a phone call from the bank wanting $14,000. They didn't know my husband was gone, so wanting $14,000 for some debt. And so I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I don't have no $14,000. So I'm in my office just crying and getting overwhelmed. But even in my crying and being overwhelmed, it actually set me up to be at the time of the gunman when he walked into the school. But this is one thing important that I want to be able to make sure that your listeners see. How that young man got into the school. And I know people are like, well, how did he get in? Now, when you go and you pick up your child from school, they have buzzers to be able to buzz you in the building for a reason. So, and we all done it. I was guilty of it before I got held hostage, but I'm not guilty of it now. You're going out of the building and you see another parent coming. So instead of them buzzing in, you just kindly held the door open for the next parent to come in the building. Well, this is what this parent did. She kindly held the door open for the gunman to walk into the building, not knowing that this young man had an AK-47. So I would tell all your listeners, whether you're auntie, uncle, mama, brother, cousin, sister, next time when you go to school on Monday, don't hold the door open for nobody. Let them be buzzed in. There's a purpose for it. Sean? Well, audience, I think we might have lost Sean just a few minutes on the line. For those of you that are still connected to the broadcast, I wanted to tell you just a little bit about my story. How many of you all have actually had some type of crisis in your life and allow it to be able to knock you off just a little bit or shake you up just a little bit? That's what happened to me on August 20th, 2013, when that young man came, but also saved my life. That day we were pain meeting pain. That gunman saved my life just like I saved his life and over 870 innocent children. That day allowed me to be able to see who was Antoinette Tuff. I remember one of my friends asking me after my ex-husband had left was, what do you like to do? That was a part of my transformation because I couldn't answer the question. And so then he asked me, what did my kids like to do? And then what did my ex-husband like to do? And I had this long list. But that day that showed me something. That showed me that I did not know who Antoinette was. I'll share it with you all while we're waiting on Sean to get back on the line. And that exercise is, I got in the mirror and I said, Antoinette, meet Antoinette. Antoinette, love Antoinette. I did that for about 60 days and I cried every day. I cried every day because I realized that Antoinette Tuff didn't know who Antoinette Tuff was. So I had to reintroduce myself to myself. But I can tell y'all now, it's 6 years later. Antoinette Tuff loves Antoinette Tuff. I don't let anything come in and take my peace. I don't let anything come in my life and take my joy. I make sure that I stay on task of what it is as my assignment and don't let distractions take me off of that. So you ask yourself, okay, Antoinette, what are you doing now after August the 20th, 2013? What are you doing in your life? What I'm doing now is I went back into that school district where the gunman held me hostage. And I went back into that school where the principal and the assistant principal helped save my life that last time when I was suicidal. And where the teachers are that were held hostage with me. And that school district where it all started. I launched my own literacy program because for me, I wanted to make sure that not one more student will become the next gunman. And the way that we're doing that is increasing reading scores. We have a literacy program where we come in and teach kindergarten through fifth grade students how to read and read on their reading level, but also increasing those reading and math scores. And unfortunately, we can't do it without people just like those that are listening today that donate to us at kidsonthemoveforsuccess.org and that go over to my GoFundMe and donate. We take those funds and we give it back to students all over the world. We give out scholarships. I wanted to do everything I could possible to be able to give back so I don't have another 20-year-old gunman holding me hostage. Well, you don't either. And the way that we do that is to come back into our communities and allow our students to be able to know and our children to know that we love them unconditionally and they also have a purpose in life. And so I wanted to tell you all today that no matter what it looks like, who are you giving back to in your community? Where are you going to volunteer at to be able to help someone else along the way? Where are you going back to let somebody know that I care enough about you and no matter what you've done and no matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter because I'm going to take this time to be able to impart into your life. The other thing I did is I wanted to go and show adults how does that look like in their lives. So I go and speak in corporations and organizations and associations, and I do my tough tactics there too. I want them to be able to see that If you have a disgruntled employee, what do you do? If you have someone that looks like they're going to be the next shooter, what do you do? An active shooting doesn't always have to be physically, but sometimes active shooting can be emotionally, mentally, and physically. And so I go back and be able to allow you to see what that looked like with me on that day and show you my tough tactics, which is compassion, confidence, and control, and allow you to be able to see that you have it in you too. And so you can visit my website at AntoinetteTuff.com to be able to see what does that look like for you. How do I do that, Antoinette? I don't know how to do that. Well, when I come to your next event, you'll be able to see, oh, Antoinette, I do that already. Oh, Antoinette, I can do that. And then you'll see that you have a purpose in life too. So what is your transformation in your life that's transferring you that you can be able to say that I'm going to transfer this into someone else's life? The next thing that I do is I have a parent academy. And with that parent academy, I come back and I affect my children's lives, but I also want to make sure that I affect my parents' lives. So on Monday and Tuesdays with my kids, we do literacy for reading and math. On Wednesdays, we do literacy and on Thursdays, and mentoring with them. And so how can I teach my kids how to do financial literacy if my parents can't balance a checkbook? And so while my kids are balancing their checkbooks on Wednesdays, we make sure that our parents come back and balance their checkbooks. They know how to do it, so when my babies go home and tell them, Mommy, I know how to balance a checkbook and I know how to write out a check. Even though sometimes it may seem like it's outdated and we all use our debit cards or take our phones to pay for something, they still need to know how to do the simple things that 1 + 1 is 2. And so we're doing that in our parent academy too, and teaching our parents budgeting and financial literacy. A lot of our kids that we service in our demographics is homeless students and foster kids. And they live in a sweet spot. With me being homeless, I know what that looks like, so I can relate to that. What is it that you can relate to be able to help out in your community? And so I want to be able to allow my kids to know that, yes, no matter what your community looks like, you can be just like me and go outside of your community to change the rest of your life. Who could have told this you little girl here that's from Washington, D.C., that one day, Antoinette, you would be known all over the world. One day, Antoinette, you will be a household name. But most of all, Antoinette, one day, you will save over 870 innocent children, staff, and parents. One day, someone will be able to look at you and say that that little girl who slept outside, that little girl who slept in abandoned buildings and under the stairwell, didn't know how she was going to get money to pay her rent or food to eat. That little girl is coming back to communities all over the world, giving out scholarships to kids, changing the lives of parents. And that little girl changed my life one day. I have parents that ride and come to me, and they drive hours to get to us in our program. But what's most important about it is when I see my one little girl who was actually in kindergarten with me, and she's now in 11th grade, and she's part of my Youth Trailblazers. So we come back and we do Youth Trailblazers for kids all over the world. They come back and they talk about safety in their schools, safety in their communities. They talk about bullying. They bring in community leaders. They talked at the House representatives and the Senate, talking about this is what I'm dealing with every day. And so that young lady now is part of my Youth Trailblazers. So I get to be able to be with my children. They don't go anywhere, which is good. They come back and recycle. We are all one big family. And so if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to volunteer with us or you want to be a part of us, then I tell you to come on over. come on over and be a part of what we're doing. Come on over and volunteer. You can reach out to us at kidsonthemoveforsuccess.org. Our next volunteer event will be on November the 5th at the Porter Sanford Performing Arts Center at 3181 Rainbow Drive in Decatur, Georgia from 6 to 8. Or you can even call us. I take phone calls to, 470-222-3410. But what we'll say to you most of all is that before you get off this line today, before you change or think anything else, ask yourself, how are you going to transform someone else's life today?
Antoinette, can you hear me?
Yes.
Outstanding. You are an absolute rock star, an absolute pro, and are literally carrying this show without me. Oh, my goodness. For those that don't know, there was a huge power surge through the show, and she just rolled with it. We're talking behind the scenes. I'm like, go, girl. Just do it. And I had to, wait for the power to come back on, and then finally it did. So we're back. We're good. Oh, live shows. You got to love live shows. How does the whole power go out in the whole place, in the whole building? Oh, it was crazy. But I was listening. I could still hear it, and I absolutely loved what you have going on, how you are elevating the world around you, and absolutely just blessed to be in your presence and what you have going on that's elevating your sphere of influence, your world around you.
Oh, yeah. It's just for me, it's about giving back. It's not about how much I'm going to make, but I look at how much am I going to give back. Last year, we were able to, on Christmas time, we had over 500 toys that we gave out to children in a school of over 550 kids. And so what we did was we gave the kids coupons that they could go to every table and get something. And then they had their siblings and their parents with them. And so what we did next was invited every. So my brothers is getting some because they're on the list, but you got 5 or 6 other sisters in the audience. And so I told all the kids, I had all those that were selected to sit down, and then all those that were in the audience had an opportunity to shop. And then what we did is we gave the parents care packages. And so diapers and toothpaste and soap and, things that you need every day, clothes and things like that they don't get an opportunity to get. It was we made an impact of over 100 families last year.
Wow.
And so I'm looking forward to it this year also.
That's amazing. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. You said something about you have an event going on November 5th.
Yes.
Right? So what's that about?
Volunteers again for our literacy program that's 4 days a week. This year we went from 1 day to 4 days this year. And so we're going to be recruiting volunteers that's going to help us with our end of the year giving, help us back in our actual program. So if you want to come and say, I want to just help a child learn how to read. I want to be able to help you, Antoinette, to raise funds for your nonprofit. I believe in what you're doing. All of our funds go back to our children, whether it's in the scholarship department, whether it's with the Parent Academy, or if it's actually with our kids in our program every day. Our funds go back to that. We just brought in some educators that can be able to help actually help our kids so that reading scores can go up. And so what we want to do is to make sure that if you're in kindergarten, right, you're reading at first grade level or second, and not the opposite. What made me want to do that, Sean, is because last year I had a young man who was in 5th grade and was reading on kindergarten level.
Oh my gosh.
That thing upset me so bad until I just told my volunteers and my team and everybody, we have got to change this. And so right now I'm in the Atlanta area. We are about to expand to Dallas, Texas. And then the next two
Cool.
states that I will be in is Washington, D.C. and Chicago. So I may be in your community.
Oh, wow.
We are
Well,
going to change some babies' lives.
heck yeah. I'm in North Carolina, and I speak all over the place. I'll be speaking November 7th in Augusta, Georgia, at an event about resilience and leadership, and it's for a school district, the Bookkeepers Association out there in Augusta, Georgia. So I'll be somewhat close to you.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be in the area a little bit. But I'd love to connect offline. I'd love to see how I can support you, how to get your message out, what I can do, who I can contact, because I believe that you are on an incredible mission. And I'm partnered with a group called One Life Fully Lived, and they hold Dare to Dream events. And they go into certain communities and certain areas. And they do some all over California. They do some in Philadelphia, New York, and they're going to Detroit. And what they do is they take kids from all kinds of high schools and middle schools, and they talk to them about what it means to achieve your goals. What does it mean to achieve your dreams? And they're really trying to empower these kids that otherwise would be on the streets, or they would be in, on the gangs, or, whatever. And so I can talk to them about, hey, you guys should go to Atlanta. You guys should go, wherever. And then you guys can have one huge event. So that's a cool possibility.
Most definitely. And then what I do is, Sean, is I take some of my proceeds so when people come and hire me to come and speak, I take some of those proceeds and give it back to my nonprofit so that I could be able to help my children. So if you hire me to come out and speak in your corporation, your association, or with your group, then part of those proceeds go back to my kids. So whether you go on my Kids on the Move for Success.org and donate to me and give that way, or if you go back to my GoFundMe and give on the GoFundMe, or if you hire me for my speaking engagements, all of those proceeds for my nonprofit go back to my children, 100%. Those proceeds for my speaking career, part of those proceeds go back. Even for my book sales, I take some of that and send it back to my kids. It's all about, can I change my babies' lives?
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. So amazing. I love what you're doing. So here's what I want to do. As we start to close the show, I want you, if nobody takes away anything from this episode except for one takeaway, they don't listen to anything else but this one moment, what is the one message, the one takeaway that you want the audience to know and understand?
My one takeaway I want you to understand is tough tactics. Know that you have compassion, confidence, and control already in the inside, already on the inside. And so no matter what it looks like for you, no matter what it feels like, no matter what comes your way tomorrow, you can take tough tactics and make compassion, confidence, and control in your life.
Oh, I love that. You are a powerhouse, my friend. Like, I am pumped right now. I am just energized. Amazing, amazing. So where can people book you to speak? If somebody listening right now says, oh, my gosh, I have to book this woman, where can they go to book you?
They can go over to my website, which is AntoinetteTuff.com. And website, all they have to do is go under the speaking tab.
Okay.
And then they could be able to book me there.
I love it. That's awesome. I love it. And I'm going to keep you in mind because I get a lot of speakers booked on different podcasts and stages and different things. I have a kind of a behind the scenes kind of company that kind of books speakers. So I will keep you in mind. And if I see something that fits you, definitely give you a call.
Most
definitely do that for you.
They can also just go to my main. They say, I can't go over to that speakers page. Go over to the home page and hit bring Antoinette to your event. Shortcut.
Love it. Antoinette,
we love those shortcuts. Thank you so much,
You're
Sean.
absolutely amazing. You are a powerhouse. You are a pro. You carried this episode. You carried it. And I'm just so grateful for you and your energy and your vulnerability and everything that you've shared with my audience today.
Thank you so much, Sean. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to all of you all today.
Absolutely. Awesome. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around her. If anything has resonated with you with this episode and anything that Antoinette has spoke about today, please connect with her. The show notes are in the links are in the show notes, AntoinetteTuff.com/meet Antoinette, little hyphen meet dash Antoinette, or just go to the tab where it says speaking and book her to speak. She is absolutely incredible. Book her to speak. Join in with her mission. Connect with her on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Connect with her there and tell her that you heard her here on Life Transformation Radio. And with that, I close the show by saying live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.